Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Philippians 4:6. A Jeepload of Mechanics by Mabel Hillock. Chug, 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 jerk, stop. The missionary looked glumly at the dials on the dashboard. Yes, there was gas. He tried the starter. No, the engine would not start. The car just wasn't planning to budge an inch. Not again, he groaned. The old car had a habit of acting like this. It had supposedly been fixed several times, but now it had stopped once again. Wearily, the missionary stepped out into the hot Indian sunshine and lifted the hood of the car. He was a school principal and had never been much of a mechanic back home, but here in the mission field he was learning fast. Taking out the tools he had placed under the front seat for emergencies, he began to tinker with the stubborn engine. Spark plugs wrong? No, they seemed to be all right. The carburetor? It looked okay. What else could it be? The missionary worked on, his once white shirt getting greasier and his hands getting grimier by the minute. Soon the others who had been in the car crowded around trying to help, but although they did everything they could to put a spark of life into the defunct motor, it looked as though the vehicle had given up for good this time. The missionary sighed and climbed back into the car to get away from the blistering sun. He wished he had brought some water to drink, but he hadn't planned to be gone so long. It had all started several months before, when the missionary had returned home from a committee meeting. They agreed to let us build a new duplex for our Indian teachers, he had told his wife. And so after many long sessions with paper, pencil, and contractors, the work had finally begun. Men had to dig out the foundations for the walls, and while they were doing that, stones were hauled to the site on bullock carts. Sand had to be dug from the riverbed behind the boys' dormitory and sifted, and permits had to be secured for everything: permits for stones, permits for sand, and permits for cement. The missionary made seemingly endless trips for this, that, and the other. Now it was bricks that were needed, but there were no bricks to be found near the school. It was Diwali season, comparable to Christmas and New Year in other countries, and no one would be making bricks until after Diwali, which lasted nearly a month. Finally, someone told the missionary of a brickyard several miles away where he could buy the bricks he so badly needed. So on a hot Friday afternoon, the missionary, along with the school treasurer, the contractor, and one or two of their friends, had piled into the car and started out to see what bricks could be bought. But now they were having car trouble. They hadn't even reached the brickyard yet, and the precious Friday afternoon hours were slipping away. Soon it would be Sabbath, and the men should be back at the school. The missionary closed his eyes and silently prayed, "Dear Lord, please help us. You know I want to be home before sundown, and I can't get this car to go. There isn't much traffic on this lonely road, and no one I can turn to for help except you. Please make this car run." He tried the starter again. Buzz. Silence. He tried again. Another buzz. More silence. The missionary leaned against the door and tried to figure out what he should do. He could walk several miles to find a mechanic, or perhaps one of the few passing trucks would tow. Suddenly there was the roar of a motor, then the screeching of brakes as a jeep pulled up beside them. The missionary looked up to see men jumping out of the vehicle and walking toward him. How so many men could come out of one jeep amazed him. "Are you having difficulty with your car?" one of them asked. "May we help you? We are all mechanics on our way to a convention." With a whole jeepload of mechanics, it didn't take long to find and fix the problem. Soon both car and jeep were on their way again. "The Lord does hear and answer our prayers," the missionary concluded when he told the story at Vespers that night, "sometimes in very unexpected ways."
The story you have heard today is from God's Greatest Stories, written by various authors and compiled by Randy Fischel, and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.